So welcome to our very first Ascension with A Course in Miracles transmission in the year 2023. And today is January the 4th. And as always, we do these on Wednesdays at 12 o'clock Eastern time. And it is just an absolute pleasure and an honor that when two or more of us gather, the consciousness of, you can call it Christ consciousness, we can call it Buddha nature, call it God, universe, spirit, Bambi, it doesn't matter what we call it. There's an infinite intelligence that is behind everything. It is everything. As A Course in Miracles tells us, God is in everything we see. And when we get comfortable with the word God or the word Jesus or the word spirit or love, we can just call it love. It is in everything because everything is made of that. And of course, that makes sense when you understand E equals mc squared. As Einstein told us, energy equals the matter that we see. So whatever we see in this world, it's made of the energy of God, of the energy of love, of the energy that is what everything is sustained by. So what is happening to humanity, specifically this decade, the decade of 2020? And you got to look at the perfection of things. So we're used to thinking of 2020 as perfect vision. Well, the decade 2020 is the decade for us to begin to see everything that has been obstructing our vision to see clearly. So in 2020, we began to experience the, pandemics. We began to experience the world of finances, the world of education getting turned upside down, parents losing their rights to dictate to the boards that work for them what they want their children to be educated on. Americans speaking up, getting censored and banned. Of course, that's happening around the world, but I'm just speaking specifically to the USA since that happens to be my home base. So I can speak with a little bit more authority because I'm more familiar with the news. Now, I don't watch mainstream media. I stopped that a long time ago. When I got rid of my TV about 10 years ago, I stopped watching the news, stopped watching pretty much anything television. So I follow the sources that I feel, because I've learned through this journey of resensitizing myself so that I can feel truth. And I only listen to those which I feel are sharing truth. And of course, truth is relative. Are you listening to the truth that the ego is talking about? Or are you listening to the truth that God is talking about? So this year or this decade, 2020, it's an opportunity for us to get resensitized, to begin to see clearly what's going on, to have the ears to hear what's really happening, to feel what's going on inside of us, and to switch. It's an opportunity to completely flip who is our authority. Are we inner driven? Then you have to feel truth inside. Are you outer driven? You're going to follow what the world tells you. You're going to do what you're told. You're going to allow external forces to dictate what is truth for you. Well, that's the way most of us have been living. We have been operating under this illusion that external authorities know better for us. So we are having to learn how to reconnect, re-engage with our inner source of truth. And I'll tell you, it's not an easy process moving out of this idea that the outer world has power over us. We are in the middle, as those of you who come regularly to these conversations, which have been going on for almost 2 years now. This episode, I believe, is episode 87 or 88. So it's so exciting. And so you've been hearing me say for a very long time, prepare for what is coming. What is coming is a total and complete opportunity for us to see, where are we? Where do we stand? Are we listening to the outer world? Are we listening to the inner world? The distinction between the two is that the outer world is run by the ego. It's the world that the ego made. It's a world that operates primarily from fear. Not that there isn't a lot of goodness there. And God is in everything we see. So God is in the outer world. But our hearing, our feeling has been conditioned specifically to attune to fear. And fear is what has us operate in a way that we're always defensive, that we're always protecting ourselves, we're attacking others. We are in a state of confusion, of anxiety, of worry, of concern. You can't find peace in a mind that is constantly in turmoil. Well, when we listen to the voice for God, it comes from the inside. Of course, we hear God outside. Of course, there are people that you listen to what they're saying and you can tell the sincerity that whatever it is that they're doing it for the greater good of all. They are operating at a level of consciousness, like somebody like Martin Luther King Jr., who knew we are all equal and did not mind in one iota putting his life on the line to stand for equality. Because you see, in the outer world, the world of separation, it operates on hierarchy. One is at the top, the rest are at the bottom. The 1% at the top, the 99.9% at the bottom. That's why you have one boss and all the employees, one teacher, all of the students, one principal, all of the teachers, one, five-star general, and the rest of the platoon. So we have to get really clear that the outer world always has one person who knows better than everybody else. And that is the authority. The professor in college knows more than everybody else. So why do we go to college? Because the professor knows what we need to know so that we can then go out into the world and be, a good teacher or a good banker or a good scientist, because we went to college and the one that knew more told me what I needed to do. So then we use that degree to say, well, now I'm an expert, but I got it from the university. Notice how really it's been maybe in the last couple of decades that we value more so people who don't have degrees, because we realize that a degree, that is, you're receiving information from somebody else. It's not necessarily your own inner knowing. Now, when you couple what you receive from others with your own inner knowing, you have attuned yourself to listening to the guidance of the authority within. Well, this decade is a decade that is making it very clear how different those two voices are. The outer authority that is interested in control, that is interested in subjugation, that wants people to bow to it like a dictator, that we're seeing that kind of voice showing up now all over the place. We're watching it in the media that tells you what they want you to know instead of giving you information unbiased, and you decide if it's true for you or not. The one CEO who dictates, well, this is how we're going to do things here. If you don't like it, too bad. The president that decides this is how it's going to be. Well, wait a second. We elect you, we the people, and we're seeing that we have transfer power externally. When we operate with power coming from us internally, like Martin Luther King Jr., you're not afraid that somebody's going to shoot you. You're like Jesus, you're not afraid that somebody's going to crucify you, because you know that the truth is eternal. Plus, you know that you are made of energy. So you don't operate in fear of the body dying. The Course in Miracles is teaching us, I'm not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. When we can take this information to heart and we operate with that as our truth, as our absolute truth, then what's happening outside really becomes irrelevant, because you understand that the outer is a reflection of the inner. So you look to the outside to inform you of what are you doing? Is this situation an irritation? It's an invitation then to see your ego's motivation, to see what's happening here. Do I need to defend myself? Am I going to attack that person? Am I trying to manipulate? Am I concerned that they're going to one-up me? Am I going to get something from them? Are they going to make me look good? So when we operate with the outer world having more power over us, internally, we have said no to our inner source of power. We're outer driven. This decade is a decade of everything that is outside that we have given power to, that is not of love, that is not of God, that is not of equality, is going to tighten the screws on all of humanity to attempt and sway more to come in that direction. We are at a point of bifurcation. This is the last decade to make a choice between love and fear, because when you begin to expand your awareness and you move out of your own little bubble, your own little life, you're in your head, and then you expand a little bit, you get to know more about the community, and then you expand and you get to know more about your state. And we're seeing a lot of that. A lot of people who are becoming more clear about what's going on in their state, more involved, participating with more determination to preserve what the people in that state believe in. You go a little further out and you go to the country, and there are lots of people who believe that we should have a level of independence by each country. Then you go out to the place and you begin to see, well, you know what? We're one planet. How about if we collaborate? Nobody taking over anybody else, but collaboration. And then you expand yourself beyond the planet and you go into, let's say, understand more about the moon, understand our solar system. Then you move further beyond so that you can really understand our galaxy, the Milky Way. And I'm going to stop there because it's very few people operate at the level of the galaxy. What is happening? This is why it's so important that we expand our awareness and we really understand that everything is a piece in a big, 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 big puzzle. When we expand ourselves into what's happening at the galaxy level, what's going on with the Milky Way, you understand that it operates on a 26,000 year cycle. We are moving, completing a cycle. Well, every completion of that cycle, what happens is that there are different timelines. Based on the consciousness that we have achieved in this lifetime, we are going to start a new cycle at a higher level of consciousness. This is why I love using the teachings by David Hawkins from the book Power versus Force. In a lot of my classes, those of you who are in my private classes, you know that I use that chart all the time because it's a very clear, and he is not the first one to break it down that way. Whether you listen to Abraham or you listen to the Buddha, when you study Buddhism, when you study the psychology like taught by Carl Jung, or you look at Maslow's hierarchy, there is a very distinct progression in how we move in consciousness from the very basic fear, survival, to liberation. There are specific levels that we go through. That expansion is a sign of maturity. It's a sign of one who moves out of it's all about me and begins to expand and understand our role, our part in the all that is. When we are comfortable with seeing everything, seeing the big picture, then we understand cycles in a much bigger way. So not the biggest picture because I stopped at the galaxy. But when you look at the galaxy that our solar system is inside of, 26,000 year cycle to make it across all of oh goodness, in astrology, you go through all of the signs, 12 signs of the zodiac. Well, we're entering now the age of Aquarius. We've already entered it. What happens if everything that was before, if as a human, you have chosen, because it is absolutely, we have free will, to stay at your level of consciousness, meaning you're not open-minded, you are not curious about other things, you follow what you're told to do, you operate as a victim, as a bully, you're listening to the ego, to the conditioning, to the programming, you're going to have another 26,000 year cycle of incarnations where you get to work through the lessons that are necessary because you haven't achieved the maturity to become open-minded. So what are those lessons? It's the karmic reflection back to us of what you do to others will be done to you. If you're giving power to others, others will take power from you. Another incarnation, you'll have the power, you take power from others. So you play that karmic game, doing the same old thing, expecting a different result. And round the merry-go-round we go. There is nothing wrong with that because you are a sovereign being no matter what. What you are is the expression, one tiny expression of God that is all that there is, expressing itself uniquely as you, having a vantage point based on your conditioning. If you do not become open-minded, you lock down your mind becomes close-minded. And what happens is you only have the thoughts that you have. And if you need to be right about the thoughts that you have, you will continue to experience the same old thing, wanting a different result. The term of insanity. That's why the Course in Miracles tells us that the ego is insane, because it makes us justify defending, attacking, protecting, manipulating, like that's supposed to get us something good. Well, it doesn't. Well, I guess you could say it does. It gets us lessons. But if you're not open-minded to learn through those lessons, you will just repeat the patterns. Nothing wrong with that. You're a powerful creator. On the other side, the next spin for the next 26,000 years, if you made the decision to elevate your consciousness, you become curious, you realize there's got to be another way. We can't keep doing the same thing expecting things to change. I need to be the change I want to see in the world. I need to change my mind. I need to begin to question my patterns, my reactions, my behaviors. And then if you happen to be a student of A Course in Miracles, you realize it's a required course. You've got to understand the way the mind got programmed. Once you enter the journey of understanding the programming, you then begin to have a very challenging experience, because what happens is that you are operating in a state of curiosity and you are discovering how you made yourself miserable. You begin to be the explorer of your mind. You question what's in your mind. No longer are you trying to rearrange the furniture on the Titanic and make it look pretty out there and how people look at you. You come inside and you begin to know who are you, and you begin to discover all of the lies that you've been operating under. Number one lie, that you're separate from everything. We're not separate from everything, and we're all made of the same thing. We cannot possibly be separate from anything. So we are discovering our connection to all that is. That requires massive maturity, because you cannot know or be willing to question your reality if you're not willing to discover what reality is made of. And of course, when you go to understand reality, you realize, well, what is real? It's what cannot be threatened, because it's energy. It's intelligent energy. We call that God. We call that love. We call that universe. We call that creator. Doesn't matter what name we use. It is a substance that forms itself, comes together into an experience of a physical manifestation according to what we want to experience. So if your mindset is closed, you're going to keep experiencing the same stuff. 26,000 year cycle. Now, you're not stuck there. At any point in a world that is run in low density, low frequency, where it is externally, the authority is external, you can leave that cycle if you want to, but you have to do the work in really challenging conditions. You have to learn the hard way. That's how all of us that today are able to see what's happening in the world and know that we're in it, but we're not of it, we've learned, for the most part, the hard way. When you make the choice, I want to learn the easy way, I want to learn through love, then you enter the next 26,000 year cycle with a state of consciousness that is curious, but knows that the answers are inside of you. So the 26,000 year cycle in a parallel reality that is collaborative and co-created by beings who really understand that we're made of energy, that we're eternal, we're not bodies, that we are the projectors of our reality, are going to be projecting a reality based on love, based on kindness, on oneness, on abundance, based on what is true. We are the creators of our reality. So if you know you created, why would you not create something amazing? So we are seeing the bifurcation. We are seeing in a family, people who are stuck in patterns of density and patterns of anger, of righteousness, people who are more open-minded, who are seeing things differently. You see it in families as it pertains to medicine, as it pertains to politics, as it pertains to religion. It's becoming really, really clear that there is a line between family members. Then we see that even in a bigger way inside of a community. We're seeing that in states. We're seeing the red states and the blue states. Well, we're seeing that in countries. The countries that are really tightening down on their citizens, so the countries that still have a little bit more freedom. We're one of the fewer ones in the US that still has the appearance of more freedom for those who are unaware of what's going on. But of course, those of us who know that this is just a cycle, well, we know that we are free no matter what, because we're the creators of the reality, and we're creating a reality that includes an exit point. And when you know that there is an exit point, your focus is on getting to that exit point with as much love and joy in your heart. Why not exit in joy? Well, if you are not in joy operating at that frequency, you're not exiting. You're going to be repeating. So in today's lesson, when I sat looking for the guidance as to what to talk about today, I really wanted to, my ego had an agenda, and I really wanted to talk about joyful things. Let's start the year talking about joyful things. And the inner guidance says, well, that's all well and good. And we can talk about joyful things, but the people who listen to you are not beginners. The people who listen to you know that joy is our natural state. However, they want to maintain that state consistently, and they know that they've got to see the ways that they block it. So we're going to talk about something else. So I open the course and I land on lesson 135. If I defend myself, I am attacked. So no matter how advanced we are in our awareness, how much we believe that we are one with all that is, that we're energy, if we still have attack thoughts, if we still have to defend ourselves, if we still judge somebody, if we still think somebody's going to cheat us, perfect example from my own household is I'm moving to Colorado. So I'm going to sell pretty much everything that I own. I'm only going to Colorado with what fits in my car, my dog and what fits in my car, because I want all of this to be a representation of a fresh start. And I felt the impulse to leave everything behind that has been part of old stories. Well, I'm not my same old person. So even with the pieces that I have, they have old stories. Oh, this came from my mom, and this came from my first marriage, and that came from my second marriage. Old stories. I don't operate from old stories. I live in the now. So in the now, it's time to let go of what has an old story attached to it and let somebody else enjoy it, that is a new story for them. So I decided to sell some things on Facebook Marketplace, but I have two other roommates, so there's three of us. One of my roommates, she began to place things on Marketplace because we're not renewing the lease, and I'm moving out of the state, and the other two are moving on to their own respective places, and some are taking more things than others. But anyways, all of us had things to sell. One started the ball rolling. She lists things on Facebook Marketplace, and she comes back to say, oh my God, there's so many scammers out there. Scam, scam, scam. This is terrible. This is blah, 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 blah. And then I thought, okay, well, that's your story. That's not my reality. See, I've already bifurcated. I live in the space of, as the Course in Miracles lesson 77 states, I'm entitled to miracles. So I'm consistent with the I'm entitled to miracles. So I'm like, okay, that's your story, because you're saying that that's what's happening. It's what you are needing to experience, but it's not my reality. So I put my things on Marketplace, I get on Facebook, and immediately, boom, 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 boom. Lovely people are purchasing what I have to share, and it's going great. Well, the third roommate decided, oh, I better jump in here and get my stuff on Marketplace. And the first roommate says, well, you better be careful. There's a lot of scammers. And that one goes, oh, scammers. How am I going to deal with scammers? So he entered into this a little skeptical, to the point that some lovely lady came and bought something from him. And he made the comment to her, oh, okay, well, let's settle up the money before we keep bringing my pieces into your car. And she's like, well, I'm not going to leave not paying you. Anyhow, it was indicative of the mindset. And so every one of us has different levels of consciousness. For me, nothing's going to go other than perfect. The one I kind of feel like the story of the three bears. For me, it was easy peasy, baby bear, it's all perfect. One of them, the medium one, entered not so much worried about the scamming, a little bit, but not so much, in making sure he got his money from this lady, sold a couple pieces, things are moving along, but still a little consciousness of, there could be some scammers out there. The first one hasn't sold a thing because she was so concerned about the scammers. So you can look at, one, like the three bears and Goldilocks. Is it too firm? Is the solidity of your ego too firm? Is your solidity of the ego medium, or is there no solidity to your ego and it's just right? So you've got to decide for yourself, which is why it requires incredible honesty. The Course in Miracles is only for those, well, let me say it this way. To get the most out of the Course in Miracles, you have to be brutally honest, radically honest. You cannot bullshit yourself without having the consequences of the repercussion of that BS that you are accepting in your own mind, because it's going to come back to you, because this is a reflective universe. It reflects back to you what you are. Think about in an amusement park, in a hall of mirrors. That's what this universe is, because we are projecting out there the experiences that we want to have, because we are one. We are one consciousness having these experiences. Like you are one body filled with different cells, and your cells are grouping as lungs, as kidneys. They're having their own experience, but they're all part of the one body. Well, we're all part of the one consciousness, part of the one energy, having our individual experiences, and the liver cells get reflected back to them, the level of health of the liver. Well, if you understand how to keep your liver clean, or your kidneys clean, or your colon clean, well, if you understand those things, you take care of it. If you don't understand those things, well, you have reflected back to you what it is that you are operating at that level of consciousness. Course in Miracles is very simple. You look at the world from two perspectives. Now, you only need to look at the world from two perspectives because you believe there's a world. If you know the truth that there's not even a world, you only have one perspective, and it's the perspective of God. This is my playground, and I'm here to have a good time. And I'm here to have a good time, not in a selfish way. It's all about me and, the heck with you. It's we're all one. Let's all collaborate and co-create, and we all have a good time together. It's absolutely what is coming. But to get to that, to have that experience, more of us have to operate at that frequency of oneness, at the frequency of collaboration. That means we got to give up the games of defensiveness, of attack, of jealousy, of greed, of lack. All of that has to be let go of, because it's not a match vibrationally. You can't take a cancer cell and put it in a healthy space and not pay attention to that cancer cell and expect your body to be okay. Because a cancerous cell in a healthy body has the potential to corrupt if you're not of the consciousness otherwise. On the other hand, if you've got somebody whose mindset is so healthy, so clean, discover a cancer cell, you know exactly what to do. You focus love on that cancer cell, and that cancer cell cannot survive. So the world is bifurcating. Are we going to connect at a place where we know the truth of how powerful we are? Or are we going to walk around disempowered, believing the external world tells us what to do and they know what's better for us? Well, we are going to be bifurcating in parallel realities. Frequencies that do not match must, like oil and water, separate. We have been operating the last 26,000 years like oil and water. We've been shaking the bottle, and we have just been confused, because it all appeared that love and fear could coexist, that good and evil could coexist. But when you let it settle and you can honestly see the difference, there is going to be a bifurcation. And if you don't want oil and you want to play with clear water, well, you are going to be on the side of the clear water. You're going to be on the side of seeing things clearly, not murky and confusing and solid. So we are going through that process. So what does consciousness want me to share with you today is that you've got to pay attention to the thoughts in your mind. If you still have any thoughts of limitation, like my roommates at various levels of consciousness, if you still have doubts that you deserve only the best because you are magnificent, if you still have doubts that you're not a body because you're afraid that you're going to get sick, or you're afraid you're going to catch something from this person, or you're afraid of death, if you still believe that the president has the power to dictate your experience and ruin your life, if you still believe any of these things, you have to be honest with yourself and recognize that you don't fully acknowledge the power that you have because of who you are, what you are. You are the creative source. You're an aspect of the creative source. The creative source is infinite. So it's in bazillion different things. It shows up as you, as me, as trees. It shows up as cars. There's consciousness. Everything has consciousness. It shows up as the unseen air that we breathe. If you are 100% honest and there's still a tiny little bit of doubt, then you've got to go look at that doubt. And on this planet, the people that operate 100% in the truth of who they are not coming to learn from me. They're probably teaching. They're probably connecting in a different place, in a different level, holding the consciousness for this planet. I am still learning. I know the truth that sets me free. I'm still learning I'm not learning truth anymore. I already know the truth that sets me free. I am practicing living from that truth. I am practicing embodying it. Did I, for a second, in the kitchen, listening to my roommates about the worry of the scammers, did I have for 1 second doubt? Yeah. And I went, absolutely not. So I had to tell myself, don't buy into that, because I am that present in honesty, observing the thoughts in my head. I am the presence of awareness, aware of my thoughts, which is why I get to pick my thoughts. Like I pick my clothes. Today I chose to wear this. Well, I chose not to believe in scammers. So I haven't had scammer experiences. So to whatever degree your consciousness is holding low frequency and you're honest about it, you're going to be able to shift the trajectory of your experience. You are going to be able to choose very deliberately to have a reality for yourself that is with beings who are operating at a higher frequency. I'm not going to get a lot into this because this is not for me to teach. This is for me to receive. I'm a student of those who are teaching about the bifurcation that is happening. I sit and listen to those who speak with certainty, with clarity, and I feel the truth, the resonance of the truth in my beingness. So I trust what they're saying because it resonates with me, that we are in the middle of a massive shift that is coming, meaning as within, so without. When I started my journey going inside, all that was dark in me had to come to the surface for me to see all the ways that I lied to myself. I had to see my ugly side. I had to see my controlling side. I had to see the tyrant in me. I had to see the victim in me. I had to see the bully in me. I had to see the manipulator in me. All my ugly sides had to come up for me to identify them. Well, as within, so without. Many of us are waking up internally. We are looking at what's going on inside. Externally, we are seeing how we have tyrants, we have victims, we have bullies, we have liars, we have corrupt people, we have greedy people, we have selfish people, we have liars. We are seeing now how those in positions of power that are ruled by their egos, we're seeing how their egos are ruling things. And it's corrupt, it's selfish, it's greedy. You can only have one master. And you're going to pick between two: God, love, truth, integrity, transparency, or you're going to listen to ego, money, selfish, greedy. It's all about me, lies, corruption, and total and complete pridefulness because you think you know better than everybody else. So we've got to be that honest with ourselves inside. Where am I defending? Where am I attacking? Because that is one of the most important aspects of the ego that you want to become familiar with. So let me read from lesson 135. title. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Every single time you defend yourself to somebody else, you are attacked. And here's how that works. When you need to defend yourself, you move into righteousness. You move into, I know better than you do, so I'm going to defend myself. You think you're attacking the other person. I'm going to show you who's right. But every single time that you activate the density of the ego, that you go into righteousness, you're attacking your body. You're attacking your mind. You're attacking yourself, because your body has to go into contraction. You must get tight and tense to be righteous. Joyful, happy people are not defending themselves. Oh, you want to believe that? Okay. Who defends themselves? People who are not comfortable with their own truth. Because to attack somebody is to convince them that you're right. If you have to be defending your righteousness, then you don't really know truth. You are defending made up truth that appears to be right in a world that agrees with things. You know, in this world, it's right in Latin countries because I grew up in a Latin country. It's right. Men have concubines. They have mistresses. You know, it's okay. It's what everybody does. My grandfather did it. You know, my father did it. It was just normal. I grew up basically, you know, you find a man, you start a family, you become the wife, and if he wants to have a mistress on the side, you know, that's okay. You keep the appearances, you keep the household, and if he's got to have his needs taken care of on the side, well, you let it be. It's right in those countries. In that particular country, it's right in Arab countries that women have to cover their faces. But is that true? Is that true according to the creator that created all of us equal? No, not at all. Is it okay for you to cover your face if you want to? Yes, it doesn't matter what country you're in. If you want to cover your face, do that. But for somebody to say that just because you happen to be a woman or a child or a this or that, you have to do that when God created you free, it may be right for them, but it is not true. So therefore, are you going to defend? Look at the people that are defending that women should cover their faces in Arab countries, or that it's okay for men to have mistresses in Latin countries. Now, I'm sure that happens in more countries. That's just the one that I grew up in. They're right in that, and they go to great lengths to defend that. The court systems in Arab countries justify the beating and the killing of people, of women who don't cover their faces. Just because humans agree to that and say something is right does not make it true. So we have to understand that when we're defending something, if it's true, you're not going to get offended by somebody else having a different perspective. Because when we come to the truth, the ultimate truth is that we're creating our own reality. So if you're operating from ultimate truth, you let anybody create whatever reality they want. You want to incarnate in an Arab country as a female and have to endure that? More power to you. I don't know your journey. Maybe you're there to change things. Maybe you're there like that young woman who got killed and started, her death started a movement where women are pulling those things off their faces. Men are standing up with their women, their wives, their sisters, their daughters, and saying no more, because something inside is activating the truth, because there's a willingness to be open-minded. There's a willingness to question, to not be so righteous. As a victim, follow what you're told to do, or as a bully, decide how it is for others, even if it's not true, but it's right because you said so. So here, as you look at, if I defend myself, I am attacked. Next time you need to be right, find, with honesty, with total honesty, find out how much is that poisoning your essence? How much is that poisoning your mind to believe something that's not true? Because when you defend it, you're defending something because you want to be right. Truth doesn't need to be defended. How many people walk around defending gravity? People don't get upset when somebody jumps off of an airplane. Oh, they can do that if they want to. They're going to come down. We all do. It's true. You don't need to defend it. First paragraph. Who would defend himself unless he thought he were attacked? That the attack were real and that his own defense could save himself. Yeah. Which one of us goes around defending ourselves unless we think we're being attacked. Well, as you will see by studying A Course in Miracles, you'll see that the attack is in your mind. You're thinking, I need to position myself because I need to be the expert here. I need to be right. You're already attacking yourself internally by telling yourself that those people's opinion matters more than your inner peace. So you're making the attack real in your mind, and that you think you are the only one who can save you. This is all ego. Ego, I'm going to save myself by proving myself right. And herein lies the folly of defense. It gives illusions full reality and then attempts to handle them as real. So the ego, this is the craziness. The ego says, well, I need to defend my position to protect my honor. So when you're believing that, you are now operating in the illusion. Why do you need to defend your honor if you are the creative source itself? Does God walk around defending its honor? No, a bunch of humans say that we got to defend God's honor. We've got to create shrines and churches and organizations and put God on a cloud somewhere. God is so fragile, we're going to put him on a cloud. Made up all kinds of things. Well, look how crazy it is when you believe that somebody can affect you and you need to defend yourself. You don't remember. You don't remember that you and God are one. We've had teachers for thousands of years attempting to remind us of the truth of who we are. I and the Father and Mother God are one, and so are you. You don't need to defend your position to anybody. Now, do you want to share it? That's very different than defending it. So we attempt to handle the situation that you need to see that I'm right, because if you don't see me as right, then there's something wrong with me. So we are setting up this insanity of defending our story, which means we're attacking ourselves, not honoring our sovereignty, not honoring how powerful we are. And in doing that, what we have created for ourselves is confusion in our mind, now believing that I'm some kind of a weak person that deserves to be protected. And nobody's going to protect me. I have to do it myself. And living inside of that, it perpetuates our victimhood. It perpetuates our separation from truth. It perpetuates that we are not the divine beings that we are as God created us. So that's why we have to question the thoughts in our mind. Because when they go unquestioned, they fester and grow like a cancer, creating all kinds of ideas, personas, masks that we have to put on to go protect ourselves and go defend ourselves. All right, then it goes on to say in sentence number 3, it adds illusions to illusions, thus making correction doubly difficult. And it is this you do when you attempt to plan the future, activate the past, or organize the present as you wish. I was the queen of planning. I had the most beautiful to-do lists. I had amazing binders that I had all my different lists for my household stuff, my business stuff, my blah, blah, blah. And I kept my world very, very organized, my life very organized, because I had everything planned out. I was always figuring out what I was going to do, what I needed to do to prepare for my future. You know, like everybody else did, my goals, my 5-year goals, my 10-year goals, my retirement goals. I lived in the future. Most of my life was spent in the future, planning it, what I was going to do to get there, because it was informed by my past. I grew up and felt abandoned by my dad. I was not going to ever let myself be abandoned by a man. Absolutely not going to happen. So I was plotting my relationships. What was I going to be doing to protect myself, to ensure that my future, the way that I wanted it to be, was intact? I grew up in, like I said, a Latin country. So I had these ideas about how women are in Latin countries. So I'm planning a future where that's not going to happen to me. So I'm plotting and planning the person I'm going to marry that's not going to do to me what the men did to my mother, or whatever it is. So your life is planning that way. I was told that I needed to have a lot of money and be successful, and that my net worth was going to determine my self-worth. I was planning a future so that I could make sure that I invested X amount of dollars so that I could see that growing, so that one day down the road, when they're in retirement, I would have all achieved and become all those things that I needed to do. So here it tells us, and it is this that you do when you attempt to plan the future, activate the past, or organize the present as you wish. Because I had a future to get to, informed by a past that was always active in my mind. I couldn't get away from it because it let me know what I needed to protect, what I needed to do, what I needed to become. So in the now moment, I was always defending anything that had to do with my idea of where I was going, which meant I had to attack anybody who attempted to change my plans. So let's say I was never fired from a job. So I'm going to make up a story from other clients that I know have experienced that. So I'm going to use their story. I'm going to add it into mine. So I'm going to mix stories here. But if you believe you need to work for 40 years and retire, and that's a sign of success, and then all of a sudden your boss is saying, hey, you need to come into my office, we need to talk, and you're nervous because you're not sure if you're going to get the promotion or not, and you're seeing other people getting promoted and you're not, and over the years you kind of feeling left behind, and your boss calls you in, you're going to be so nervous, and the boss says, we're going to have to let you go. Well, what's the ego going to do? I need to defend myself because I've got a future that I've planned for. So you're attacking my future. That means you're attacking me. So I'm going to have to defend myself and let you know what a horrible boss you've been. Or I'm going to go the route of the victim. I can be the bully and say, what horrible boss you've been, or I can be the victim. Please, my family needs this. Don't fire me. I'll change. Tell me what I need to do. When we're operating as victim and bully, we're attacking ourselves, because we are informing ourselves that only our plan for the future with this job is the only one that's going to get us to where we're going. Because see, when you become your own authority in terms of you're listening to your ego mind becomes your own tyrant, then you have to make sure you defend what you believe is your righteous expectation, your righteous story. That defines you. If that is how people are going to be able to come to your funeral and say, wow, they lived a wonderful life. They worked at this company for 40 years and retired with a pension, blah, blah, blah. And if you grew up thinking that that's right, well, it's right. It's not true. What if consciousness that is always with you, always trying to push itself, not push, always trying to express itself through you, is saying, you know what, there's such a better job for you. But consciousness is out here seeing and sees, oh, there's a job over there. They're looking for somebody. But this one is so set on staying here for 40 years because that's what their father or mother did at their previous job. Well, the only way we're going to get this one out of here is we get her fired. And then all of a sudden you're fired because consciousness knows, yes, we're going to untether you from here. We're going to move you over there. We're going to have a friend call you and tell you, hey, this company is hiring. And then something better opens up for you. But while you're busy planning your future, and because based on your past programming, you're not present to the now, to, oh, you're firing me. Well, thank you for releasing me. Whoa, I wonder what amazing things are coming my way, because you see, I'm the creator of my own reality. And yeah, I've been told, that I need to work somewhere for 40 years, but I'd rather work where it's fun. I am trusting that everything is provided for, like the lilies of the valley. My creator is taking care of me because I'm part of one consciousness. And I just want to do what's fun and what's easy and what's joyful. So thank you for firing me. What a beautiful thing. I'm expecting somebody to tell me about a wonderful job that is the next best one for me. Well, that kind of consciousness doesn't need to defend or attack, because it would never think to attack itself. It would never think, only I know what is right. Only I have the right vision and it has to happen my way. That's attacking yourself, because you put yourself in a prison and it's very limited. So you attack yourself and imprison yourself in your own idea that is very small. But if you choose not to attack yourself because you go, I'm expecting this whole universe to support me because it's true. It's not right to many people, but it's true. Then you see everything as an opportunity for you. See, those are the people who are going to be bifurcating into the new earth that eventually is going to be a 5D planet, because people are going to be operating in that fifth density of consciousness, collaboration, co-creation, believing what is true, expecting the good to come to them. You see, this trip that I'm headed to Colorado, I don't know how it's going to unfold. I had no idea I was moving to Colorado 3 months ago, 4 months ago. I had no idea. And then started the movement. My daughter wanted me to come there. It's sounding appealing. I don't really want to go there because I'm not a snow person, but I want to be near my grandchild. And then one of my roommates is not renewing the lease. Okay, here's an opportunity. Things are shifting. I'm paying attention. Why did that move? Instead of, oh, I hate that moved and it changed my plans. I'm going, I get curious. Oh, why did that move? What's going to unfold? Because I trust that I'm entitled to miracles. So I'm expecting things to go my way. Why? Because I'm creating my own freaking reality. Why would I not create it in a fun way? So as I stay in a state of full expectation of only the good coming to me, because I am the goodness of God itself, because when God created everything that it created, said it was good. So I know my goodness. So only good comes to me. One of you that I talked to today that is here, you know what I'm talking. We had this conversation today because when I coach, I'm coaching on the same thing to get you to remember your goodness. Because if you value yourself, you don't attack yourself with nonsense in your own head. Do you know that a thought that I'm not good enough is as painful to your psyche as a stab in your physical flesh? That's how we attack ourselves. We're constantly stabbing our truth, poking holes in it. But see, you're made of energy, so you can't really poke a hole into what is eternal, non-physical. But you have the experience of the pain that is carried in the body, so then you get cancer. It's just the way it works. It's just the way that it works. So we got a little bit more time. I want to get into the second paragraph. You operate from the belief that you must protect yourself from what is happening because it must contain what threatens you. Oh my God, I can't believe you're going to fire me from this job. Oh, how am I going to support my family? You think it threatens you to be fired because you're not going to make money from this person that you think is your source, your supply. Well, what if that person firing you allows you to finally start making that jewelry you've always wanted to make, or start painting those paintings, and you can sell them for even more because they come from a place of joy inside of you. And people that believe in abundance joyfully will buy it from you. Because if you paint something that comes from love and high frequency, they may want it in their home because they can feel the love and high frequency of it. But if you think you're being threatened because you're losing money coming from them, you do not understand that there are sources of supply way, way more numerous than we can count. But you won't be open to where other opportunities can come to you because your mind is closed off, because you are right. It only comes from that one job. But it's not true. But you are the one who has to decide. Are you going to believe your righteousness and defend it, attacking your body with the density of having to protect something it's not really true? Or are you going to be open-minded and operate from the truth and allow infinite possibilities to be your reality? That's why we got to become like little children and let ourselves play in our imagination, activate it again. You know that one of the worst things that has ever happened to humanity, nothing is worse, it's all by choice, but one of the things that has created so much suffering is that we became adults. We were categorized adults. And when we start adulting, we have to be serious and we have to do it this way. We got to be responsible. We got to feed the family. We got to take on a lot of debt, protect the family in this kind of house and this kind of alarm system and this kind of car. And well, it all has to look like we are doing family right, or we're doing adulting right. But we got to get back and connect with our inner child and have fun. Just play. Because to be an adult doesn't need to be a state of mind. It can just be a recognition that, well, you are the one with the children, so you're going to go to the job and you've got some responsibilities as part of the game, but not because it has to be serious. It doesn't have to be serious at all. The second sentence says, a sense of threat is an acknowledgement of an inherent weakness. Let me read this again. When you operate as if things are threatening you, it's an inherent weakness. Your mind is totally weak. It is not operating in the strength of the truth. A belief that there is danger, which has power to call on you to make appropriate defense. Oh my gosh. The minute you believe that you are in danger, you're saying, I can be threatened. I am weak. I got to protect myself, defend myself. Hello. How about you connect to God? How about you say, okay, God, what lesson is there in this for me? What would you have me learn? What is coming my way? If this is coming, if this is being moved out of my way, that must mean you're creating space for something grander, something better for me. Because God is all that is. You are one with God. You are operating with a tiny bit, like you're operating with one cell of your body. That's how we operate. But that one cell that's in, let's say your liver cell, one cell is part of many cells that create the liver, many cells that create Americans, is part of something bigger like your body, one of 7 billion people on the planet. But all of it is God, meaning you have the power of 7 billion different aspects of yourself that when we align together, knowing the truth of who we are, we will move in tandem for the greater good of all. That is to give up the story of poor little me, weak. I got to protect myself. That is something we have been indoctrinated with this nonsense that we have to protect ourselves, me against the world. That is how we are totally, completely manipulated into separation, into segregation, into groups, into the blacks, the whites, the poor, the black, the rich, the blah, 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 blah. If we all knew that we are all equal, that we all have equal power, and we aligned with what is it that we would prefer to experience, we would all come to the place of knowing that we all want the same thing. We want love. We want life. We want liberty. We want joy. We want creativity. We want fun. We want collaboration. But we are not talking about what we want from our heart, because our head is conditioned in planning for the future, because we have evidence of the past. If you didn't prepare for the future, then, crazy shit. So we think our defenses are appropriate because our life is in danger, because we believe that we are weak. A belief that there is danger, which has power to call on you to make appropriate defense. Sentence 3, the world is based on this insane belief, and all its structures, all its thoughts and doubts, its penalties and heavy armaments, meaning militaries, its legal definitions and its codes, its ethics and its leaders and its gods, all serve but to preserve its sense of threat. For no one walks the world in armature, but must have terror striking at his heart. We have been conditioned to believe that our separate countries, our separate organs, need to be concerned about one attacking the other. So we have the armaments, we have the armies protecting and defending, and we tell the people, everybody on heightened alert, because the liver can attack the kidneys. And we have been conditioned over thousands of years that having a military is how we stay protected. Course in Miracles is saying having a military is what is sending the signal that you want to be attacked, to validate the need for a military to protect you. So while we are being indoctrinated into having this consciousness of lack and limitation and weakness, we have, not only do we have the military, but we have the government. We've got the CIA to protect and watch over what's happening, to make sure that we see what's going on. We can see the bad people. All the while, they're the bad people seeing all of you, all of me, all of us. And then we've got the justice system that ensures justice for who? When you're defending what is right, who decides what is right? How do we know that what is right is what is true? Only if you have woken up to the truth, to the reality of who you are, you're no longer threatened by what's going outside, and you come inside to get your inner answers from the source that knows the ultimate truth, that nothing real can be threatened, because nothing unreal exists. God does not create sources of power that can hurt you unless you buy into that, believe that it can, and give your power to it, in which case you operate as if all of this insanity makes sense. Working really hard to get to retirement and your 40 years at your job, and then taking your taxes and being taxed on your income, things that are not legal, things that even Jesus told us 2,000 years ago. That's the only thing that we have a story of where Jesus got pissed off. Now, I've read other channel materials and he got pissed off about other things, but it's documented in the Bible, so it must be right. Jesus turned over the tables for the money changers, basically saying, you can't go around ripping people off and charging those astronomical fees, charging interest, charging taxes. Whoa. So more than 2,000 years ago, we heard you can only serve one master. If you've got two masters, you're either going to serve God or you're going to serve money. You're going to pick between the two. You can only serve one of the two. So humanity has been serving the master of separation, the master of money, the master of greed, corruption. So the world that we see that the ego has made is a world that gives us evidence of our corrupted mind. So if you defend yourself, you're attacking yourself, because you're saying you can be affected by the outside. That's not true. You create the outside. So find your inner truth, ground yourself in your inner truth, stand there firmly, like Martin Luther King Jr., like Jesus, like Gandhi. And so what if they kill the body? That's not who you are. We are not bodies. Bodies are vessels. What you are is the consciousness that gets to incarnate. The most important thing that we can do today is stand firmly for the truth. And that's okay. Some are going to perish standing for the truth, because we live in a world of crazy illusions where the truth gets killed. That's okay for a little while longer. When we bifurcate, when the realities bifurcate completely by the end of this decade, it's going to appear like we are living in totally different worlds. We may still see the same people. This may be around, but we will not be subjected, because the frequencies are going to be so different, like oil and water. They're not going to be mixed in. It's going to be like oil and water. We're going to see those happy people over there who don't follow the same government, who don't follow the same medical system, who don't follow the same political thing. They really have sovereignty. And we're going to go, oh my God, how do they do that? And then everybody else over here, those crazy people over there are doing their own thing. It's like crazy, like the hippies were. And we are following the rules, and we are being told what to do. And we are, just totally, completely controlled. Those people are going to be looking at the free ones going, my gosh, I wish I would have had the courage to question things. Well, if you're listening to A Course in Miracles, if you're watching teachers like me, you have courage. Your work is to be consistent in utilizing your courage to sift between the wheat and the chaff, to sort out what is true and what is not, to sort out what is love, what is fear. And the only way you're going to be able to sort that out is if you understand ego is a block to the truth, just as much as you are one with God and your truth is established by God. And to believe things that are not true is to side with your limited sense of self, your lower self, your human self. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because you're the powerful creator of your own reality. But if you know you can create joy instead of misery, why not be consciously choosing what it is that you would prefer to experience? And if you are experiencing something you don't prefer, don't blame anybody else. Don't attack or defend your story. Get honest about it. Practice radical honesty and say, if I don't like this, what would I prefer instead? Let me think that. Let that be my truth. Do you want to be scammed? You don't want to be scammed by other people taking your money or whatever. Stop scamming yourself with lies in your own head, because all of our experiences are projected out from our own beliefs. That's it for today. So let's unmute this. I want to hear from you. If anybody got any nuggets, any ideas, any insights, please unmute yourself and share them. And if nobody feels like sharing, that's okay. We can complete. Today stands on its own. As always, I'm so grateful that you guys give me the opportunity to share this every Wednesday, almost every Wednesday. Rarely do we skip, but sometimes we do. I started putting the links on my YouTube channel. I put them on my Facebook channel. You can find the links to join us everywhere that I can share information. If you appreciate this, if you like this, go ahead and share it with others. Please help me spread the word. And if it's not your thing to share this with others, then enjoy it and be the change that you're receiving from these messages. And that is sufficient. All right. Yes, go ahead. Ginger, thank you so much. Ooh, I rock. Thank you. Go ahead.
You do. Well, there's so very much in that, in that lesson and in what you're speaking about. What I could relate to really pretty profoundly is that just recently I had to choose between like freedom and being controlled by money. So I once I decided it was such a freedom that I let go. I let go of the man I was dating, and I feel so wonderful. I just feel so free. And I told myself, look, the worst that can happen is I open myself up to new, wonderful possibilities. Who knows what's out there? And the possibility could be that I realize I'd rather just be alone. I'm coming more and more to terms with that. I mean, I kind of like my aloneness sometimes, not all the time, because I'm a very social person.
Yes, but let me just share a fallacy in what you're saying. You cannot be alone. You're one with all that is.
True.
So it's a matter of enjoying your own company and not needing to be with somebody else to satisfy the ego's idea of being alone. But when you know that we are all one, you cannot be alone.
You're right. You're totally right. I totally agree.
God's right. This is truth. This is God's truth. It's not mine. So I don't need to be right about this, but I know it is true because it's true for all of us.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a powerful lesson, and I do really thank you.
Yes. Again. Well, let me say a little something about what you mentioned, because all of us have been subjected to this to whatever degrees we freed ourselves. It's amazing. But you said, you've been controlled by money, because we have been conditioned to believe that we can control the world with money, that we can control the world with money. But what really is happening when we are conditioned to think that we have control because we have money is that our mind has been conditioned to be controlled by money. And if you're going to move down that path of bifurcation towards the higher dimension, you must let go of money being real, being what gives you safety, gives you joy, gives you peace, because money is made up. It's an agreement that we make. Money is made up. We print it. It's not even like a cow.
Not real.
Stuff. It's not even real. So if you really want to have freedom, then your work is not to count the money in your bank account, but rather, God, you know what I love. You know my standards. You know what I prefer. You're me. Now fund it and allow the inspiration to come through you. We've got to open ourselves up to so much more. I don't have all kinds of money because for me, I don't need to count how much. I don't need to accumulate it, but I always have what I need to have every time I need something. And it just works out that way. But I had to get to a place of trusting that it would happen that way.
Yeah.
I don't count on Social Security. I don't count on future. I don't count on pension. I don't have any of that stuff. But I know absolutely I'm taken care of. Why? Because I'm God.
Yeah.
And as God and the creator of my reality, I'm creating a reality that is comfortable, that is fun, where all that I desire is there. But see, when we clean up our desires, our ego desires go away. It's very different. The desires are very different. They're not about stuff. They're about experiences. And that gets taken care of. And by the way, we're moving to a new reality and a parallel reality with people who understand oneness, who understand collaboration, co-creation. Believe me, that world that is being created, that we are moving to, is not going to operate on lack. It's going to operate in that there's more than enough. And supporting, taking care of all who want to contribute at some level will definitely be part of that reality. So it's amazing what's coming. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Yes. Miss Tanya,
Hey,
are you glad you joined us today?
Thank you so much, Laina, for everything you do. And I'm just giving you a virtual hug, and know that I am with you. I support you 1000%. It's beautiful to see what you're doing. You're saying things. That's how you live. That's how you show how you live and how you think and how you see things. And then you follow through with your actions. And it's just so beautiful. Thank you for your consistency in this and teaching us and reminding us, and that beautiful work you're doing here in the world. So I'm giving you a virtual hug and a kiss, since I won't be there on the 14th, but I'll definitely follow you and continue to follow you on Facebook or wherever, wherever you are going to be. So
Come see me on Wednesdays, and we're never not together.
yes. Thank you so much, and wishing you just a smooth, beautiful, easy move, which I know you will. I know you will have it.
Thank you so much. Love you.
Thank you. Love you. Bye-bye.
Anybody else? All right. So thank you so much for being here with me for this extra power hour. Another Wednesday Ascension with A Course in Miracles allows me to give this transmission that comes through me when you guys are here. Because when two or more gather, there is love, and love was amplified today. So if you want to participate, look for these messages, and we do it every Wednesday. You can go to my YouTube, you can go to my Facebook, my Instagram, blah, 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 everywhere. And we will keep going even through my move. We will keep doing these Wednesdays because I'm planning my move around these transmissions because they're so important to me. I love it. I love what happens to me when I let myself be a portal. Love you all so much. Have fun. And one quick announcement. I'm going to create, it may give me a little time, but when I do, I will let you know that I've created a Facebook group called Ascension with A Course in Miracles, where I want to open it up for people to ask questions about the lessons, and you just come in and you got a question about the lesson, because it is my work to help people really understand ACIM. So look for that pretty soon in the next couple of days, an Ascension with A Course in Miracles Facebook group, strictly talking about Course in Miracles. Love you all so much, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye. You can unmute yourself. Bye. Love you too.